So we talked some last week about our non-essential essential list. And we realized that we've been living in this camper for 4 years, most of which we spent in campgrounds.
If you haven't been here before, welcome. I'm Steph.
I'm Mike.
We've lived full-time in our Grand Design Imagine 2600 RV since 2018. I'm a travel nurse, so that takes us all over the country. And during these last 4 years, we have stayed in all kinds of different ways.
Boondocking, mooch docking, campgrounds, harvest hosts, boondockers welcome, staying in people's driveways, national parks, parking lots.
All kinds of different ways that we have lived in this camper across the United States.
There are pros and cons to staying in campgrounds, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today.
And we'll also tell you guys what's our actual favorite way to stay in the camper.
Yes, we can talk that at the very end, so stick around till the end and we'll talk about our favorite ways.
So we're going to talk mostly about campgrounds. Now those are your KOAs, your mom and pop campgrounds. You're driving down the interstate and you see that sign that says campground, this exit. That's a big pro to campground living. Staying in campgrounds is easy because you can see these signs all along the highway and you know, oh, I can go there, there's a campground. Now most of these campgrounds will have full hookups, and that's a big deal. Like I said, we've stayed a lot of different ways in our camper, but having full hookups is so nice. You just have that peace of mind, plug everything in as soon as you get to the spot, you're set up, you're good to relax and enjoy your time there.
Along with full hookups, sometimes places will have a laundry facility. Some places also could have Wi-Fi. Some of the really nice places can have pools or hot tubs or stuff like that. It just depends on what the campground has to offer you.
If you see a campground that calls itself a resort, generally they're gonna have more amenities. So a pool, putt-putt course, sometimes restaurants on site, stuff like that that's really nice to have and just a campground. So a big pro for us, now we full-time in our camper, so we stay at campgrounds for a longer period of time. If you're just going for the weekend or a couple days, it may not benefit you as much, but for us, we can get mail here. We can order off that thing called Amazon and get our packages delivered directly to our camper. It's really nice just to have that kind of semi-permanent location for us for a month or so.
Another pro to being in a campground is getting that sense of community. Everybody is outside enjoying themselves. People are always willing to help you if you're having trouble. One of our first trips that we ever did, we actually went to Yellowstone, and I was having some issues hooking up the water, right? Mm-hmm. We were very green. We had just got the camper and I don't know, I don't remember now what the deal was. I couldn't get the water hooked up, or it was leaking or something. And a guy that was like 2 RVs down came straight over to me and said, "You guys need some help?" He came over and helped me figure out my water. And that is one of my favorite stories about being in campgrounds, because people are always willing to help you.
It doesn't matter if you're there for a day or a month or even longer. I feel like there's just such a sense of community in the RV community. That's why we love this. That's why we love you guys. But that is one of my favorite stories because we had just started full-timing. It was maybe night 2 or 3 in the camper and didn't miss a beat. This guy saw us struggling, came right over to help. And in the moment, I think we were a little like, oh, we're those people. But in reality, everybody is those people at some point. Even the most seasoned RVers need help, and there's gonna be somebody there to help you.
We still had all the new stickers on the camper. Like, that's how new we were.
We were flashing how new we were.
So the last pro that I'll talk about for us is we can save a little bit of money on monthly stays. And if you guys are going to a place for a week even, especially throughout the summer, now that summer's getting here, you might look online and see if a place has a weekly rate. Sometimes you can save some money doing that.
Absolutely. So we love state parks, but most state parks, if you stay a night or if you stay 14 nights, it's gonna be the same nightly rate. Most campgrounds that we've encountered, or a lot of them at least, if you stay for a week, you're gonna get a lot bigger discount. Now for us, even a month is a huge discount sometimes. We've paid $500 a month, even $400 a month, I think, for some RV parks, which is pretty cheap compared to about $40 a night average. So that's definitely a big pro for us, or you guys, if you hit the road and you're gonna be someplace for a week, look into that weekly discount rate. Moving into cons, I know I said that we could save money staying at campgrounds weekly and monthly, but sometimes it can be really expensive. Earlier this year, we were lucky enough to stay at this really cool campground. You may have heard of it, called Fort Wilderness, and it was so cool, but it was so expensive. And that's partly because it's tied to Disney, yes, but we've also stayed at RV parks like outside of New Orleans or outside of Yellowstone that are $100 a night. That's a hotel room and you're sleeping in your own camper. So campgrounds can be expensive.
So another downside to campground life is the noise. This sense of community where people are always willing to help you can be a little bit overwhelming when a campground is completely full. There are times, especially this weekend, this is Memorial Day weekend, and it is packed. We love seeing people outside enjoying themselves, but the noise level can be a little loud. Along with that noise and that close proximity to your neighbor can be a privacy issue. Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming having your neighbor 15 feet away from you, especially when your camper is not built like a house. All that noise is coming in and all the noise in the camper is going out.
There's a general rule of thumb, I feel like, that if your door is open, it's okay for people to come over. But a lot of times people think if you're sitting outside, it's okay to come over too. So you lose a sense of privacy staying in a campground. Sometimes that's great because you want that community. And sometimes you just want your peace and quiet and to sip on your coffee and people are outside having fun.
What is the unwritten rule about sitting outside? If you're sitting outside in your chairs, you can come say hi, right?
I don't know. Is it like, do you have to make eye contact? Like, if your chair is angled towards the walkway, towards the road, maybe that's it. Maybe. Let us know. What's your unwritten rule of whether you want people to come into your campsite or not?
And if somebody's outside on their Blackstone cooking bacon, that's community bacon, right?
You have to walk by and say, hey, what time's breakfast?
Yeah.
You have to. I mean,
that's the dad joke.
Not.
So I hope that kind of helped you guys decide for yourself if campgrounds are for you. There are pros and cons. Any way that you stay with your camper, there's going to be pros and cons. For me, campgrounds are great because it's the simplest way to stay in a camper. You can also usually book a campground online, which is really convenient. You just get on your phone, type in where you want to go, when you want to go there, and if there's a spot available, you can usually do it on your phone, which is super convenient.
And these days I would recommend making reservations, especially coming up on the summer. If you don't have your summer plans all planned out, maybe start looking at where you can get reservations at.
If you guys are new to RVing, pro tip, stay somewhere local. If you bought a camper recently and you don't know exactly the best way to stay for your shakedown trip, just stay somewhere as close to home as possible. That way you can get used to using your utilities, using your bed, all the slides, all that stuff, and you can just be as close to home in case you did forget something. You can just drive right back home.
Exactly.
That's what we did when we first bought our camper. We stayed about 15 minutes from where we were staying. We had our shakedown trip, got used to all the stuff that we could in the camper, stayed a couple nights, and it worked out perfectly. If these tips helped you guys out at all, drop that like button down below. Let us know that you liked this video. Let us know that we're helping you guys out because we want to know that.
We want to be able to help. We've got 4 years of experience under our belt and sometimes we forget. It's just we live in a camper and that's what we do. So if there's things that you guys want to know or that you would like to learn more about, drop it in the comments. If this helped you at all, hit that like. Make sure you're subscribed to follow along with our adventures and see our mishaps because those do happen.
Those do happen. All that being said, is this our favorite way to stay?
Ooh, is this your favorite way to stay in the camper?
It is not.
I wonder if our answers are going to be different on this. I honestly don't know.
Well, for me, I do love campgrounds, but I prefer to stay off-grid somewhere, maybe mooch docking or boondocking somewhere where we have a little bit more privacy.
I guess they're kind of the same. Boondocking's probably my favorite way. And sometimes like BLM land with like electric hookup. Oh. That's probably my favorite way, but we don't always find those ones. But boondocking, being out in the middle of nature, but still in our very fancy enclosed tent, So that's kind of my favorite way to stay.
I always go back to that spot in Wyoming,
Yeah.
water and electric only. It's probably been our favorite stay ever.
I would have to sit down and write them out, but that's definitely in the top 5, maybe 3, maybe the top 1. Firehole Canyon Campground. If you guys missed that video, it's up here. It was pretty much perfect.
Yeah, it really was. Sometimes you need those trips. For us, for full-timers, we kind of need those trips sometimes to remind us, like, why do we do this?
I hope you guys are having a great week. Thank you so much for watching the video, and we'll see you guys next time.